recording. Okay, now we're live. I don't know why that always seems to be like an act of Congress to try to get the live to actually do what it's supposed to. Okay. Hi. Long time no see.
Let me turn this up. You sound so quiet.
I might need to move the microphone closer too. Let's see. Yeah, microphone's on. Let me make sure it's the right microphone. That might be helpful too. It's not gonna let me do that.
My hair looks very messy. I went out with it wet, and I was thinking to myself, I'll just dry it when I get home. I have to run a quick errand. It's so hot, it was dry by the time I got home. I was like, oh, there goes that idea. It's just going to be a little wavy.
That's okay. It looks good on you.
Thanks.
All right. So now that we're all focused, so actually, I guess what we should do is, who are you? What do you do? How long have you been doing it?
So my name is Mandari, and I am a model. I've modeled off and on for like the last 12 or 13 years, but I really just came back to it the last 6-7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd been doing it that long.
Yeah, I actually started out modeling for the Art Association of Harrisburg. There was an artist. There was an artist there that did like nude figure drawing, and so I would go model there. And then I think my first official photography session, I went to see Scott Church.
Okay.
And then
so this Facebook user, by the way, would be Scott St. John.
Oh my God. He's my fave. He's always entertaining my 80s music dreams.
Oh, anything era-based, and he's all over it.
Yeah.
So you said Scott Church. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. He was like my first boudoir photo shoot.
Okay.
And then it was kind of a situation where I hadn't really modeled in a long time. And I went to see Scott again, like many years later. And when he posted the picture, everybody was commenting like, "Who is that? You know, like, does she take bookings? Is that a model?" And so I messaged him, and I was like, "I didn't think there was a market for curvy women. Like, do you think I should do it?" And he's like, "Do it, you know." And so I did. And the rest is history.
Well, and most of the events and stuff that you shoot are generally based around like the curvy base is usually the consideration.
Yeah, I really try to keep my events to curvy women. Obviously it's what I can relate to the most.
Sure.
But I also want to give them opportunities. There's so many talented curvy women. And I kind of felt like when I would attend events, sometimes I would kind of be overlooked, or I just kind of felt uncomfortable, like, because some people, if you approach them and you're mid-size or plus size, they're just kind of gonna like back away a little bit.
I get that. I get that. I've seen that happen, actually.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? When I host events, I'm going to showcase, the curvy models in the area. I want to give them this opportunity to shine and for us to all grow together. So that was my goal.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple of your events, and I mean, I don't think I've ever been to an event that I've been disappointed by at all.
Oh.
And I think it's unfortunate for some of the events that we do where, you have the curvy versus what I call the standard societal body type.
Yeah.
Because I hate calling it like the model body type, but the societal model body type is a lot of times, because some of the photographers that are going to these things, they're trying to have access to something that, they may not normally.
Right.
But I find it a little sad because like the whole thing, and of course I'm one of those everybody's beautiful people, and I know I annoy people with it, but there's truth in it. Maybe you work with a curvy person and you get to learn a new way to edit or something to pay attention to for, if you have a client that's curvy, because I think that's it. I think it depends on what the photographer is trying to get from the event as well too, are they just doing it because they're a hobbyist and, they want to do something fun, or are they doing it, so that they can gain client work later?
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I try to market to them. Like, if you work with clients and this is not just a hobby of yours, most women in the United States are going to be a size 14, 16, which is
Right.
considered mid to plus size. So
Right.
like if you want to expand and get more clients, you should shoot with women that size, you know? And a
Yeah.
lot of them don't. Like they don't understand why they're not getting clients and they're shooting size 4 to 6. And so women want to see themselves represented. They want to see themselves and they want to
Yeah.
know what it's going to look like when you shoot with them. So it's really
Absolutely.
difficult, you know, to look at somebody's portfolio and be like, okay, I want to pay a lot of money for a boudoir session, like, but I don't see a single girl that looks like me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I trust me, I get that.
mm,
I've actually considered hosting a workshop that specifically works on how to work with curvy bodies, because
yes,
not everybody's great at it, and even model wise, they don't necessarily always exactly know what to do with their body either, depending on how new into it they are. And I know, the other thing sometimes, and I think you and I had a conversation about it when we were at the old school, about the side by side, like
yep,
co-modeling, because if you co-model with somebody who's super petite, you may not be that plus size, but you're gonna look more plus size because you're by
you're
the
right.
super petite
There's a
person.
lot you have to consider and think about. You know, you can't just run up there and do everything, which, if that's the point of the shot and you're trying to capture the differences in bodies, that's fine. But it doesn't all, in my opinion, it doesn't always work. So it's like, you know, I'm
Yeah.
careful about that. I don't want to be posing with a size 00 because I'm going to look, you know, ridiculous.
No, I get it.
Mm.
Crystal Manning said it sucks, but I'm hoping that it's moving in a way better direction for models of all sizes.
Mm.
I feel like it is. Like I feel like I see a little bit more diversity, and we talk about models, and it's always
Yeah.
it's a tough thing, because supermodels are something completely different than
Mhm.
the models that are everyday, because the
Right.
models that are everyday can have any look.
Right.
And there's going to be people who are going to photograph. I think it was Pinky I was talking to recently, and she was talking about the fact that some people won't book her because of her tattoos. That's
Hmm.
okay, because there's other people out there that will book her for her tattoos,
Right.
um, because it makes the shot more interesting. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just such a weird balance.
Yeah, it is. And it's okay if everybody has a preference, but what I can't stand is when somebody else puts down somebody
Yes.
that's not meeting their preference. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so you like to shoot models size 6 and under, that's fine.
Mhm.
But like don't shit on everybody else that's bigger than that and think that they're not just as able or look just as amazing in photos because you have a
Right.
preference.
Yeah,
So that's when I
absolutely.
get mad. It's like, cool, you have a preference, I get it, but just don't put people down that don't meet it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think sometimes that's the hard part with the events, like you were saying, like with approaching.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm going to tell on Scott. The first time I met Scott, was at a Scott Church event, which is now Iron Ore Studios. I really need to remember that.
Yeah.
Um, but was at one of those events, and I liked him instantly. So I just started chatting with him. I'm like, why are you standing here? They're over there. And I was like, hey, Scott's free. Do you want to work with Scott? I'm like, this man's never talking to me ever again. That's what's going to happen. You know?
He's shy, but he's the best ever. I'm so glad to have him as a friend and also somebody that I can create with.
Yeah.
Like I know that sometimes people are shy to like interact with new people. Like I get social anxiety pretty bad myself, so I get it.
Mhm.
But he's the best, guys. Like if you haven't worked with him, you should definitely do
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Scott, we love you. I hope you're still listening. See, Crystal, so what's she asking? Crystal would like to know, who do you think in general pays better attention to how to showcase a plus mid-sized model, male or female? Photographer, I think, is what she's looking for.
So I mean, it's really strange, but I do notice there's just a different softness and femininity. Did I say that right?
Femininity.
To
It's okay. There's
to
an extra
pictures,
in there.
yeah, to pictures that women shoot. Like they're not outright like overtly sexual. They just
Mhm.
look sexy and they look beautiful for their body shape. But I mean, that can be a double-edged sword because I've worked with some female photographers that I could tell by the way they edit my photos what their insecurities were, because it was just like way overdone. But then when
Okay.
they edit that 4 to 6, it's different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like where I might be okay, you know, with certain things, like, okay, if my legs have a little bit of stippling or stretch marks
Right.
are showing, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, it's kind of like I'm okay with those things. Like, you know, of course you still need to pick like the best poses for somebody's body type.
Right.
But sometimes it's just like, wow, like that is, I don't even look like me anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a difference. But I feel like some male photographers are also really able to capture that as well. That like sensuality and softness. It just depends who you're working with, but overwhelmingly, I think women tend to do that more.
I agree with
um,
you. I agree
yeah,
with you. I think sometimes I think with the male photographers, it depends on why they're in it, you know, because we talk about GWCs all the time. Those
yeah,
are the ones where you're going to get the more overtly sexual content.
yeah,
And you know, it's not so much about what size you are as to what body part they could get in the photo. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Which sometimes, if you like sell content or something and that's what you're going for, that's fantastic. But if you're
Exactly.
in artistic mode, the last thing you want to have to do is battle with somebody on just capturing a beautiful image as opposed to your, you know, junk being out or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, and you know, we've had conversations on here before about the successful male photographers, somebody like a Scott St. John. One of the things, and actually, and I'll even toss Scott McLaughlin out there too.
Yeah.
They don't make women feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest reason that they end up being successful in what they do, is because they don't make women feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and they usually end up capturing a fairly decent photo, even if it has sex appeal to it, which is fine. Because I mean,
Mhm.
some of it, even some of my stuff, because I've shot fetish stuff too.
Yeah.
Even my fetish stuff sometimes isn't. It's not sex for gratuitous sex, you know, because
Yeah.
I want something a little suggestive in there. I want you to think about something. I don't want to give it all away to you, you know?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that sometimes if that's what you're going for. There's definitely moods to it all, and I don't judge
Yeah,
anybody. Like I definitely have some photos that are pretty sexy out there, but you know,
absolutely.
it's just all in what you're going for. No judgment here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely think that I think there's a place for everything is really what it boils down to. And I think sometimes when you get the negativity, it's because that's not the place for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that has some to do with it.
Yeah.
But you know, those people making the negative comments half the time are the ones following you on the spicy site.
Yep.
You know, they just don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about the spicy content, how did the process of you getting in with Playboy, what did that look like?
It's really not that crazy. Like you have to, I think they look for a certain following.
Okay.
I can't seem to get this right today.
It's
Um
okay.
they look for a certain following, I think, and then they like you have to give them all your socials to look at your portfolio and then submit photos of yourself, and then they make a decision. It was something I hadn't even considered because in the past curvy women did not exist in Playboy. So
Sure.
it was like that'll never happen. Like even though I
Mhm.
idolized Playboy models, you know, it was just growing up, it was, oh my God, they're so beautiful, you know, I want to be like them. And I just never thought it was possible. So when I started to see them sharing some curvy women, I was like, what is this? Are they finally getting with the times, you
Right.
know? And so I was like, what do I have to lose? I'm just gonna try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Sure.
yeah, so I submitted and I was really excited to be accepted. So
Okay. So
now
now
I'm working on
I have
submitting.
a weird question.
Yeah,
I have a weird question.
yeah.
And so this is Playboy. It's not like Playboy Italy or one of like the offshoots or anything like that. It's actual Playboy.
It is actual Playboy, but their magazine is not in print anymore. It's all
Right.
digital. So like
Yeah.
all the models are digital. So what they do is they go through everybody's content and then pick out people for editorials, and they'll contact you if they're interested in things like that. So I'm over like the first hurdle of getting accepted. And now I'm like gathering photo sets that I'll share exclusively to Playboy so that they can be considered. They did send an email that said the page was under review for editorial. So like super excited about that. So so I'm being very, very deliberate with what I'm posting there. Like it's got to be the Playboy-esque sets, you know? So,
Sure. No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on, because let's see. Crystal said, "Oh my God, I feel so invested in this convo because I'm a little more subtle as a photog, but love to show off a woman's beauty."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And you're always invested. Well, not invested. You're always part of the conversation.
Yeah.
All right. So once you get through this first hurdle, what happens next?
I don't really know. I follow their socials, so I see like other women that they've been selected for editorials, and they'll post them to all their websites, and then they get special features there, and they share them in their story. I don't know if like you get to choose photographers to take photo sets with and then send them, or if it's a situation where they set you up with one of their photographers. I don't know. I feel like there's contributing photographers, so like I don't know. I'm not sure. But once I find out, we can do another interview because I want to know, and I hope they pick one of mine.
Talk about the process. I had another question and I lost it. What was my question? I'm really out of practice on these things because normally it's like question. I had a question that pertained to that. Oh, so is there a financial benefit to you for doing this, or is it just the advertisement aspect of being on their social?
Yes. So you do get like it's like any other subscription. So when you post your photo sets on there, people have to subscribe and pay to see your photos. You can create exclusive sets where they have to pay additional money for that. You can do videos, but one of the things I like about them is that they don't do anything like, how can I say this without getting banned? They don't do anything like adult themed, you know? So like
it doesn't have to be corn.
Yeah, well, they don't allow it at all. So there is no corn on there. It's all just nudity, and I like that because I mean, trust me, if I could, I would. Like, if I could bring myself to do it, because there's so much more money to be made in that than just art news. But like, it's just not for me, and I don't judge anybody that does it. Shoot, I wish I could. I just don't have it in me too. So, so showcasing women's beauty, and I think women are art, all sizes. I just love women's bodies. They're so beautiful. So it makes me happy that that can be the focus, and you don't have to expect people to message you and ask you for that kind of content.
Right. So, I mean, essentially it's kind of like, you know, the subscription that you already, because you use Patreon, right?
Yeah, I use Patreon too.
Okay. Yeah. Now and if I ever ask a question you don't want to answer, you can tell me, by the way. I'm just really curious about some of the things that obviously I don't have. Like, I've created a Patreon. I haven't launched it because I can't keep up with the amount of posting that I would need to do for it to make any sense for me to do it. You post everywhere. Like, you have new TikToks and you've got outfit hauls, and I'm like, I need your time.
I don't have time. I make time. It's kind of like you have to, I feel like when it comes to media, we spread ourselves so thin because there's so many platforms now. So I feel like you have to serve the platform that serves you. So if you don't see me on Facebook lately, that's because I've been on TikTok, because I mind the business that pays me. Like, they monetized me early on, and now I have almost 80K people on my TikTok. So like, I'm focusing on building that because it's giving back to me and giving me the views and giving me, so it's giving me the opportunities. And now that they have the TikTok shop, I'm getting like brands sending me stuff to feature and things like that. So, so it's kind of like, if you minimize it down and you focus on what really benefits you, then it's like you make the time because you don't feel so overwhelmed with having to post on 5 different sites, you know? So for me, I know that this is where we are now, but like, Facebook and Instagram are dinosaurs. Like they
I
are not
know.
keeping up. They tried really hard to switch things over, but it is just not working.
I
So I'm
agree
not on here a
completely.
lot. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm only got back on Instagram after they deleted my profile, which was ridiculous anyway, and I'm still mad about. I only got back on IG because most photographers do bookings on there. So like I was
Yeah.
missing out on bookings not being on there. So,
Sure.
but even still, I might dump, 12, 15 photos on Instagram a month and then not get back on there and share
Yeah.
anything. Um, so, and with Patreon, my fans have been pretty understanding. Like, there are some months where I have more time and less bookings, and I'll spend more time on there posting and
Okay.
creating even like at home photo sets, which they really like for some reason.
More
I guess
personal.
because it makes them feel like you're more human and more
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say like attainable, but there is a level of like
It's
dreaming that goes on here, you
it's
know?
attainable, but it's actually it makes you more tangible and genuine.
Yeah,
So they feel like they get to experience your life as opposed to experiencing your persona.
right. It
Yeah.
makes
No,
them
I agree.
feel like they are getting like special access to you. So
Sure.
so when I share those, I find that I get a better reaction. But like last month, I think I might have shared 15 photos. That's it. Like I just didn't have the time. Last month was insane. So this
Yeah.
month I'll likely share more. So they're all really cool because I have thousands of photos on there. It's just that some months I'll share more than others. So
Sure. Sure. So there's always something to look at.
yeah,
Well, I agree with you on Facebook and Instagram. Like I don't do a lot with Instagram. A lot of
yeah,
times if I have a new photo that like something I just edited, like the one I did of Ambrosia
yeah,
that I launched today, Facebook is where everybody's still paying attention to me.
yeah,
TikTok, TikTok is one of those where I'm angry with TikTok because I lost my TikTok account.
yeah.
Um, and I lost my TikTok. It was so stupid. I was updating my birth date
Hmm.
and it had a default date that put me under the age of 18.
What the heck?
And well, yeah, and I couldn't fix it. They wouldn't let
Mm,
me fix it. It got locked down. And basically they're like, "Hey, you're not the right age to have this kind of account." And I'm like, "But I'm not that age and I'm losing all these people. I need my people." And so I haven't gotten back to 1,000 people on TikTok, so I can't do any lives. And it's like you're limited. Like same thing with YouTube. I have stuff on YouTube. I have a whole 35 subscribers. I need 1,000 of them.
yeah,
And you have to take time to create the content, to put the
yeah,
content out there so people want to watch it.
yeah.
Well, having that full-time job and then trying to do all that stuff too. It's like the people
It's
who do it, I'm like, what is your superpower? Because I'm tired. I'm
It's
just
exhausting. It is. And some days I really don't want to. And I'm like, thank God for the makeup filters because some days I don't even want to. I just pick a filter and I'm like, okay, that'll do. And a lot of times they don't even care. It's just the algorithm is a little different on each site. And I'm like such a nerd. I have taken a lot of time to do a lot of observing to try to sort out exactly how they work.
sure.
And which is also why I haven't focused on Facebook or IG because I know that my stuff will not hit the algorithm. It's
Okay.
not going to hit the algorithm. It's not because of the content I share, even though it meets their guidelines, they won't push it. So, but I know on TikTok, it's like you learn what you can and can't do and how to tap dance around different things. So
Okay.
some people want to share like lingerie and stuff like that. If you're in a bed, it's immediately going to be flagged. Just don't do it. But if you're standing around somewhere, a lot of times they'll let you share it if you say it's swimwear.
Right.
There's no shame in my game. I do not care. I'm playing the game out here. I don't want anybody under 18 seeing my stuff anyway. I wish that the one thing I can say is at least Instagram does have the option to limit your audience to people of a certain age. I wish
Mhm.
TikTok had that. I think that when you're under 18 on TikTok, you just don't see certain stuff, but I don't know. But either way, it
Yeah.
has to be. obviously like okay for social media. It's not like you can be on there like nude or anything, but
right. Well, and that's like I don't know if Facebook, because it keeps trying to adjust. Like right now, I have the I don't know, it's like 60 days or 90 days where they're doing like the monetization, like whatever I post, there's monetization that they're doing.
yeah,
It's not on the reels right now, but it's only on posts.
yeah,
But I had one post, the one that I had done of Darian, and here's what I don't understand, and here's my frustration point. Darian's covered.
yeah,
Okay. Now there is one shot where, you see cheeks, but she's again still covered.
yeah,
I went to boost it because the photos were really good. I went to boost it, for engagement. I was like, screw it. I haven't tossed money at advertising in a while. I'll go
yeah,
ahead and boost it.
yeah,
And it got flagged. It got flagged and it wasn't approved. Not that it got flagged, but it wasn't approved. But now this is what gets me. The outfit she was wearing was by Thistle Inspire,
yeah.
who advertise on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over here like,
Yep.
is it just me? Like, what? Why do they
I
get to
have
pay you to
seen
advertise, but I can't?
I have seen almost porn in my feed on Instagram because
Yeah,
they're paying, which I
yeah,
just don't. I'm sorry, I'm not giving them any of my money. I'm not, you know what I mean? But yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And I even had the brand was tagged, and it's a brand that advertises on the platform. Now, maybe because I didn't say that they were sponsoring it,
Yeah.
maybe it was just because it was tagged, but I'm like, how did they get away with it, but it's not okay for me to do it?
Yeah.
And
The
then I
same thing happens
noticed,
to me when I wear something from Fashion Nova and then you go to their site and there's all the girls wearing the lingerie and I'm like,
yep,
so
yeah, it makes no sense. And I noticed after that, a lot of my, so that post and then several of the ones after, I was still getting reactions a week later, which
yeah,
meant that's how long it took for it to come across that person's feed.
yeah,
And I'd be more than willing to put in the effort wherever I'm getting paid, but none of them are paying.
yeah.
Because you have to meet certain criteria for, oh, we have things. Hang on. Oh, this one, Love and Miss You Mandari, is from James Pernall. I
Oh,
think I said
hi
that right.
James, miss you too.
And then Crystal says lots of double standards and hard to figure out why one is okay and another isn't. I agree, because the other thing that I find annoying, and I don't remember who I said this to recently. It might have even been Scott. I was like, we could take, and actually I think it was at your event. I was like, you could take your shirt off. I could take a picture. I can post that on Facebook, but I can't post any of
Yeah.
these beautiful ladies without theirs on. It makes no
Yeah,
sense to me. It's the same nipple.
yeah,
You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
The thing that irritates me is how the United States is with nudity. If you travel outside of the United States, it's not so taboo. Nudity is looked
Nope.
at as just we all have bodies. You have
Yep.
one. It's in architecture, it's in art. They have beaches like everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It's normal and people don't gawk or feel uncomfortable because
Yeah.
they don't sexualize people's bodies. In the United States, they overly sexualize everything and then they tell you you're wrong just for showing yourself. And it's just crazy. It's like, well, I wasn't being sexual. Like I just had a shirt on and leaned forward. And now you're the one that's over here telling me all these names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, unfortunately, with our society, it's because it's conservative.
mhm.
And our society, and nobody come at me. Our society was built on religion initially.
Yeah.
And that has really what's gone into a lot of the standards, if you will, for, what's appropriate versus not appropriate across the country that
Yeah.
we live in.
Yeah.
There's definitely been some adjustments and some allowances, but, it always kills me that we provide food from the thing that we're not allowed to share with the world. You know what I mean?
It's so annoying. Um, I feel like a lot of it is too that our country is still very misogynistic and
Fair.
I feel like I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like religion is dying. Like Gen Z, like the amount of people that actually participate in any type of religion or even have a belief is very, very low.
Oh, sure.
So I think we're headed for like nihilism because a lot of people need to find a reason. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like it gets to a point where then you have to figure out meaning in things if it isn't that the ultimate goal is to ascend somewhere else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but that's a whole another conversation.
James, we freedom from religion? Oh, need freedom from religion.
We
Okay.
do. They need to separate it. Yeah. At this point, there's way too much science and stuff out here. Um, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Um, so when it comes to modeling for you, what would you say the percentage of booked versus content? Like being booked for actual work versus, what you do content wise. What would you say that percentage might be?
You mean like bookings versus making my own content, like photos and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it depends on the month. Like last month was so busy, I don't think I created any photo sets myself.
Okay.
I just didn't have. I was booked so much, and then I had the event too, so I just didn't have the time. Um, but some months, like I mean, people don't pay like they pay like $10 a month on my Patreon, so like
Mhm.
I'm not too concerned with sharing a ton of photos. But I'll usually create at least one photo set, like a personal one a month, and then I might have other ones that I share that are a little more showy that I'll sell separately, and then have whatever photos I have rolling in from edits from photographers. Oh, there's an ambulance outside. God.
As long as it's not there for you.
Yeah.
Um, so talk to me about the sets that you do separately. What does
Hmm.
that look like? Like if because I've seen you post about it before where you're like new set on your Patreon. How do you handle that? Like how many photos is it? What do you usually charge?
So if it's a photo set that is like a little more showy or has like a ton of photos, I'll usually only share like a teaser of one or two photos on there and say, if you want the rest, contact me and you can buy it. I
Okay.
usually just charge 25 for a photo set, but usually my photo sets will have like 13, 15, 20 photos in them. So,
Okay.
um, I I guess I do share some on there. Like I never do like open leg shots or anything like that. But like
Sure.
there are some photos that are still like I guess I would consider more revealing, whether it's pose wise or whatever else. So like, but I still share at least one photo set a month, usually on Patreon. That's just like for them for part of their subscription. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that at least it's some level of like like being personal, I guess.
Okay. James, do you reach out for content creation or is that just something that you do personally?
Um, so I don't do any open leg shots or corn or anything like that. So I don't do really any collaborations on that front. I just take photos, and there are certain photographers that if I want certain photos, they will take them. Because we're friends and they tolerate me. But, okay, cool. I don't
Got
mind taking them for you. You know, maybe I don't normally take this type of photo, but I'll take it for you.
it.
So
Right.
usually it's, will you take a picture of my butt? Okay, fine, I'll take a picture of your butt, okay, fine. Um, and so sometimes I collaborate with photographers. Generally, I do very little trade work, so it's like, whoever hires me will say, "Hey, do you want to do these two as part of our thing that day?" So,
I
it just
gotcha.
depends what people are want to do or willing to do, but I take a lot of them myself for at home.
Okay. Okay. Charles Simpson says, hi, love your hair. Good to hear from you.
Hey, thanks. If you're talking to me anyway.
I lost my question again, Mandari.
Oh, it's because I'm over here like long-winded today.
It's just one of those days. Um, I was a photographer question, and then I had a TikTok. I know my TikTok question. There was a photographer question, but I lost it. TikTok, when you have people that reach out to you, because of a product, do you have like a process to vet that, or what do you usually look for?
So TikTok has a shop now. It's almost like Amazon. So like
Yeah.
people can get on there and buy stuff, or they can like people can share it and they can click on a link that goes on your video, and then you get commission for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like TikTok is doing a lot of that because they have to be verified to be a seller.
Okay.
And I personally will only pick things that I can be sent for free to advertise. Like, I mean, I've bought stuff off there just that I wanted, but like, as far
Sure.
as stuff that I'm willing to like promote, I pick stuff that's like free samples of, and then
Yeah.
they'll send me the clothes or whatever, and then I'll model them on the video and stuff.
Okay.
So I mean, it can be pretty good. Like there was a dress, it's kind of like a Skims dupe, which the Skims dress I think is like $150, and this one was like under 30. And
Okay.
so I was like, I'm gonna get that. So I requested it and they sent it to me, and it's done like really well. Like a lot of women are just happy to see somebody their size put it on so they can see what it looks like.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to photographers reaching out to you,
Mhm.
how do you handle vetting a photographer typically?
So generally, I'll go to like the model safety groups that I'm in and search their name. Um, I'll look at mutuals, and if I'm not familiar with the photographer, I'll message a mutual and say, "Hey, I noticed that you had photos on their page. Like, were they cool to work with, or whatever?" And then ask them how they feel about them. Um, I don't know. I've had really good luck vetting photographers to work with one on one. Like, there was only one occasion that was not good for me, and it was a photographer from Pittsburgh, and he hadn't really worked with anybody around here, and I didn't know anybody in his network, but he had a lot of followers. His work was really good, and he seemed okay. And then
Hmm.
I got there, and it was not okay. So
Gotcha.
I will never work with him again.
What was not okay about the event or the adventure?
So he paid for like 4 hours or something like that, which was fine. And he came to this area too, which was even better. I didn't have to travel for it.
Okay.
But like when he was photographing, he would like find ways to brush my chest area and stuff. And I
Gotcha.
was like, that's no, we're not going to do that. I was like, if you do it again, I'm going to chop your hand off. And I was like, I will leave and you will pay me and there's going to be a problem. Just don't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not the one. Like, I'll fight people. I don't care. So like, if somebody wants to act stupid, it's on site. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But that's the only person I had a problem with. Everybody else has been really cool. If anybody gave me weird vibes, I just didn't book with them.
Sure. Sure. No, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha. Now, when you plan your events, what does that look like for you? Like, do you have a process that you like to go through? How do you vet the models that you have at the events, etc.?
Um, so generally I look to see if we have mutuals, if they're consistently sharing work, like what their drive and ethic is like, what kind of following they have. I really try to stick to models that I'm familiar with, whether seeing them in passing and knowing them, or knowing that we've worked with mutual photographers. Um, there's only been one model that's been a problem the entire time, and she was from another state, and she had worked with people I had worked with before, and she seemed okay, but she was crazy. She was the Lulu, okay? So
Okay.
she won't be invited back, but that's the only person. Everybody else has been really cool.
What do you consider crazy?
Um, so starting drama and cursing me out because
Oh.
they did not feel that I did enough when I blacklisted somebody. And it's like, well, what do you want me to do? Take them out to the town square and murder them? Like,
Oh, I think I know who this is. I'm not going
Right.
to say anything, but I think I know who this is.
And it's like, you know, when I
Because I think
found
they reached
out,
out to me too.
right. And, you know,
Yeah.
when I found out, I addressed everything the best I could. But like,
Yep.
when I don't know until the end, it's like, well, what do you want me to
Yeah.
do now? Like you told
Yeah.
me, okay, it's like there was something small that happened early on. I addressed it. Everybody moved forward. It seemed fine. And then at the end, people are like, well, yeah, he did this and this, and it was terrible. And I'm like, well, how was I supposed to know that until you actually communicate it to me? Because
Yeah.
when he worked with me, obviously he was fine.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And so it was like when I went forward with trying to address it, it was like, well, what, you know, the event's over now. Like, what do you want me to
Yeah.
do? You know,
Sure.
unfortunately, I do the best I can. And in that situation, he showed up with cash the day of the event. So, like, and he had mutuals and was sharing work of models that I knew. So I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, he seemed okay, but he was not. So
Because
lesson learned.
because I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to out people on the lives, but I had actually met him and never worked with him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have known who he was from Adam, but he recognized me at went to Exotica at Dulles while it was here in Virginia.
Yeah.
And as I was leaving, he knew my name, and I'm like, oh, I don't, you know, you look at the person, and you're like, don't know. But
Like, how do I know this person? Do I know you somehow?
I'm like, hi, I don't know who you are, but you can tell me, you know.
Yeah.
Well, he knew me from Instagram, so we connected like
Yeah.
message to message on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because he was interested in going to events. Well, I wasn't co-hosting anything.
Yeah.
And but I told him I would let him know the next time I co-hosted something. So when all of the shit hit the fan, I'm like, oh, I met that guy.
He was so polite. He was so polite in my DMs. He was so polite. And
even in person, he was polite.
Yeah, he really was. And so it's really frustrating. But then I found out like money was exchanged with a certain understanding with the Delulu girl. And so I think that he probably thought that that was okay with others then.
Right.
So, you know, these things can happen. I understand that. That was the first and hopefully the last time that type of thing happens at my events.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Oh, I can imagine. I
was so angry because it's like, oh God, how does anybody think this is okay, you know?
Well, no, I agree with you. Well, and that was the other thing that I realized on the back end. I thought it was odd when he had messaged me and I looked at his actual profile. I thought it was odd that he didn't have anything posted, but he was a photographer.
Oh, I think he probably had deleted it all at certain points because people called him out for his behavior. Because when he signed up for my event, he had lots of photos of models that I knew. So I was like, okay, like, and then he showed up the day, oh, okay, yeah, I have cash. I don't, you know, I don't have, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, all right. He seems cool, whatever.
No. Right. Now we know. He actually popped up again about 2 months ago. He used the same profile photo that he had used on Instagram. Yeah. And I'm like, that was just dumb. You know? Yeah. Like you obviously you don't know how to do this, but it's fine because I'm just going to block you. But you know, that the frustration point with stuff like that is you and I know his name now.
Yeah.
We even know his face if we were to see him. But I can't tell you how often somebody comes to me like with things in the DMV group and they're like, hey, this person is blacklisted from XYZ. Here's the examples. And I'm like, okay, you know, and then I go through and I do the blocking. And then like 3 months later, somebody mentions a name and I'm like, why do I know that name? Like I'm going to start having my own list of just all the people that everybody report to me. And then I'm just going to have it like for quick reference because I had a model friend of mine, one of my favorite people, was telling me about something that happened to her. And I go, wait, what was the guy's name again? I go, why does that? Oh, I went, wait a minute. Worst part was she had talked to me about it prior and the name did not register. Yeah. Until she told me about what happened, like during the process of her being there. And I'm like, why does that name sound so familiar? And then sure enough, it hit me as to why it sounded familiar. And I wish I had helped her avoid the whole thing.
Oh, you know? Man.
So that's why now I'm like, I just have like this cheat sheet list. The problem is and we've seen this, is that you'll have somebody who will use the same photos, but they change their name online,
Yeah.
or they use the same name and they change the photos.
Yeah. It's tough too because the guy that came to my event, he's clearly using an alias. Like that's not his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like I just saw recently a post, somebody that had gone to that one conference that's for like nude photography.
NIMPA?
Yes. And he was
Yeah.
there and he was doing inappropriate stuff, and like he was using several different names too. So
Okay.
but then his picture was the same on most of his media. So I make it a point that if I see somebody that does something crazy, I just block them so I know that I won't ever interact with them, but I also keep a list in my phone because
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
can
think I'm
only
gonna
do
have
as
to do
much
the
as you can
same
do.
thing. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Just have my little side list. Let's see, what is Crystal asking? Hang on. Okay. How would you work on vetting in the future? What kind of red flags do you think you could see now?
Um, I mean, most of the time I think it's not a problem because people are paying with PayPal and you have all their information because you have to have your honest to God information on PayPal. So it's
Right.
like if anybody does something stupid, you know who they are. And so I think people also know that. Um, I think I do a pretty good job of letting people know the type of things we do at my events. Like there's other photographers that host events in the area that allow some pretty crazy things to go on, which are kind of causing issues in the industry, I feel like, because
Okay.
then photographers can go to other events and think that that's a normal there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, it's unfortunate, but we can only do the best that we can, to keep track of who's been blacklisted. If there's somebody you're not familiar with, always check to see who they've worked with and if you can kind of talk to people to get an idea of if they've been cool or not. But it's like there's always going to be somebody, unfortunately, that can
Yeah.
seem really fine and not be. So you just have to address it as it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of times what happens with some of these photographers too is somebody didn't trust their instincts. A lot
Yeah.
of times when they end up in this situation, either A, they didn't trust their instincts, like they knew something was off, but they went through with it anyway,
Yeah.
or they went into it with a fuck it mentality and they're like, I'm
Mhm.
just going to do whatever I'm going to do. The
Yeah.
problem with that then becomes is when that one thing that happens that they're not okay with is when
Yeah.
it becomes a big ugly thing.
Mhm.
But whatever that initial choice was got the ball rolling towards the one big ugly thing that ended up happening.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, sometimes I think some of the models that have gotten burned, and I'm not trying to victim blame at all, but I think sometimes it's hard to get paid work. And so it's like,
yeah,
okay, this seems kind of off, but I need the money type thing,
yeah,
which I understand. Sometimes it can
happens a
be
lot.
feast or famine. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you're really booked and sometimes you're really, it's slow. So I
Mhm.
get it. But I feel like sometimes that's kind of a reason that people might let something slip through the cracks that they wouldn't normally
Sure.
because,
I agree.
they need the booking or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's been models that have always been honest about the fact that, money's money.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they'll take whatever the opportunity is, even if it's a GWC or somebody that's not above board because they're just trying to get paid,
Yeah.
and on some level there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's that weird like gray line
Yeah.
for the people that aren't okay with it, and that gray line becomes really really blurred for the person who is a little bit more predatory than they should be.
Yeah.
But do you supplement your income any other way, or is your income solely based off of modeling and the online avenues?
So I do have a day job right now. I think I'm gonna get laid off soon because they have us
Oh,
training people in India how to do our job.
oh no.
So
Okay.
so I'm like, okay, I'm kind of really hoping that the TikTok thing keeps on going in the direction it is. Because if it does, I think I wouldn't have to like try to hurry up and find another job.
Okay.
Between bookings and that, I think I might be okay. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just trying to stay booked and keep working on my TikTok stuff and hopefully things work out as they should.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Let's see. Who do we have? Any of the photographers that are watching currently, do you have any other questions for Miss Mandari other than the fact that you love her? Because we all do.
aw, thank you.
Oh, we didn't even talk about your underwater experience. We need to talk about that. How
Ah,
was that for you?
so I think I need to trust myself more because I had
Okay.
never done it. And like, I, so like ahead of time, I knew that if you emptied your lungs the whole way, that you would be able to swim down into the water better. But I thought, listen, I'm buoyant. This booty and these titties, like I'm buoyant. This is gonna be. I probably will float. And I didn't trust myself that I would actually be able to swim down. And so I was like pushing myself off the side of the pool to go down. But like as I got used to it, I was like, okay, I don't have to do that. I can actually swim down as long as I let all
Right.
the air out of my lungs, I will go down.
Right.
So it got easier in time. I would recommend to you that you make sure you eat that morning.
It's fair.
Because I like if I don't eat for a long period of time and exert myself a lot, like I'll pass out sometimes and stuff. And after that, I was like, "Oh no." Like it's like hard work doing
It
that. Like
is.
having to like let all the oxygen out of your lungs and then go under. Um it was hard work.
It's
So what
exhausting. It's
yeah.
absolutely exhausting.
So by the time I was done, I was like, okay, I gotta like lay on the ground for a while. I'm gonna pass out. So I felt really
I'm
bad
glad you
because
didn't pass out.
I didn't pass out though. But then Scott was so kind to go run off and get me some trail
I
mix
remember
and some
that.
Gatorade.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Actually, he just commented, "She sounds awesome. Bet she's a blast to work with." I mean, duh. And then, and you, Dawn, are awesome. I mean, I'll take it.
Aw. Who said that the other comment?
It was Scott.
Oh, thank
He's
you.
he's pretending like he doesn't work with you like weekly.
He's pretending like I don't call him every 2 weeks and say, "Hey Scott, there's this idea I have.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to do it?" Oh, okay, I guess so. Like, yeah, I'm really pulling your arm. Scott's like my
Right,
best friend,
exactly.
so yeah.
Well, and if it's in the woods and it involves a creek somewhere, he's usually game.
Yeah, I do love that. I think I might have convinced him to come down to the beach to shoot photos in October.
Oh, there you
So
go.
I am psyched about that. If he really truly is into it, I am psyched about it because I want to get pictures like under a pier and on the
Okay,
beach during golden hour and all
sure.
that. Yeah, so I'm excited about it.
Make it happen, Scott. Make it happen.
I said I'll even buy your hotel room if you'll just go. I know I gotta make you drive like 4 hours, but it'll be worth it.
Oh, I have a feeling he'll show up. I don't think
Yeah, it'll be good.
I've seen him do anything beach-wise. Thinking
I've
about it now.
never
It
shot like
wasn't the
okay, I
time that
did
we're
too.
talking about it, but
I did. Maddie shot on the beach with me, and I got a few photos a couple years ago, but I haven't since
okay.
then.
I need to check in on her and the baby.
I know.
I need to check in on her. I was supposed to go to the baby shower and I had family stuff, so I had to stay here, but I need to check in on her.
Yeah, I got exposed to strep and I did not feel comfortable going because I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to give it to you in case I have it. Like I had a doctor appointment that like the Friday before and I went and they're like, so it's not showing up yet, but we can just treat you in case. And
Yeah.
and then I got treated for it, but I didn't like they called later and said that they didn't think I had it because it wasn't showing up and I was like, all right, but it was still like, I would feel really bad, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I still have to go to the gym, even though I don't want to.
Oh, look at you. That's so disciplined.
Yeah, it sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
I'm going. I don't want to. Well, I ended up, was it this past Friday? I haven't been since last Wednesday because this past Friday I woke up and I had 25% rotation of my head any direction. And I
Oh
had to
my
go to the
God.
chiropractor. And
Oh,
he goes, there's no gym for like 72 hours. Is like, you sure? He goes, you're
Oh,
probably not
darn.
going to be able to move.
Oh, no.
I had probably 75% of it back by like Saturday. And I was like, I am not staying home another day because I was already pissed about missing the gym that Friday. And I still have some rotation issue. And I'm like, do I wait till Friday or do I just go ahead and go today? And I think I'm just going to go do cardio. It's supposed to be a lifting day, but I think it's going to be cardio. Not that anybody needed any portion of this conversation. So sorry, guys.
Well, I go to the chiropractor sometimes too, but I found it was like a saving grace that I got a TENS unit for this type of stuff when it happens. So if you can invest in one, I think you can get them on Amazon. TENS unit are awesome. It's like I don't know if you know about it, but it's just like
I do.
Yeah,
that's what they use when I'm in the office.
Yeah, like electric stimulation to your muscles to help loosen them up. So you should try it.
Yeah, I might consider that. He usually does that in heat and then does the whole adjustment thing. And then it takes like 3 days before my body's like, all right, can we not do that again? That'd be great.
Who's down there rolling their eyes?
Scott.
Oh, what are you rolling your eyes about?
He said TMI.
Oh.
He's basically giving me a hard time because I'm like, nobody really needed that portion of the conversation.
Oh my God.
Who knew we'd be talking about the chiropractor in the gym today, you know?
Don't be a hater. We'll start bringing up feminine hygiene, okay?
What did he say? Girl issues I can't relate to. It hasn't shown up for me to share it, but you'll survive that. We still like you a little.
Yeah.
Just a little, though.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, well, you enjoy your evening, and Scott, go bother somebody else. Love you.
Okay, it was really good talking to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you. Bye, guys.